Thank you indeed, and good morning to all of you who are here. And I extend my greetings to Minister Khalid Al-Faila and all the ministers from the Saudi Arabian side and ministers from the South African side, but more importantly this morning to the business people on both sides of Saudi Arabia and South Africa. It is good to be with you again. I thought, spent a really good session yesterday, and I'm also told that yesterday's session was extremely productive, and we look forward to this much more intimate and closed session between us to be even more productive, where we will be able to speak much more freely and openly to each other and express our ambitions and the great dreams that may exist and do exist on both sides. And yesterday you heard about the enormous trade and investment opportunities in South Africa across a range of sectors. And last night, as you have heard, we had this summit with His Royal Highness and his ministers, as well as ministers on my side, where we were able to exchange a number of interesting views, as well as to exchange the MOUs that had been signed between the two countries. 17 MOUs for us, South Africa, being signed and exchanged at the same time is a record, a true demonstration of the depth of the relationship between the two countries and the great ambitions that we both have. And they range from cooperation in mining to renewable energy to food security, agriculture to transportation, ICT, and a whole range of other, and logistics and many other areas. These memoranda of understanding are what I call door openers. They pave the way for much greater cooperation and for higher trade and investment flows between South Africa and Saudi Arabia. We were able to recall what agreement we reached in 2018, that there would be up to $10 billion flow of investment from Saudi Arabia. We've only hit $1 billion, but already we are on the runway, taking off to reach the other $9 billion, and on top of that, in yesterday's discussions, we already have on the horizon 15 billion. So we are talking about a considerable amount of investment, and some of which will flow both ways. And indeed, investment is improving between our two countries, particularly with the first toe that was put in the water, warm water, I guess, with Aqua's investment being the largest. We have a much higher ambition, and it was interesting and enthralling just last night to listen to the Crown Prince about the big dreams and ambitions that Saudi Arabia has, going way beyond 2030 to 2040, from issues that touch on population growth right through to investment growth, infrastructure, and everything. So we, as a much smaller partner, felt that we would be riding on the wings also of Saudi Arabia, and that Saudi Arabia will be a great partner for us also into the future. So many of you here today will have heard my closing remarks at yesterday's conference. I therefore find it will be appropriate that I instead pose a few questions and invite you to respond, and this will be on both sides, as I also am so anxious to hear what you have to put on the table, what your own objectives are and what you want to achieve in your various businesses. But for the Saudi side, I mean, which sectors would you see the greatest potential for collaboration in South Africa? If you have exposure in South African market, what has been your experience? And I'd like you to be as open as you can, because you could also drop pearls of wisdom and advise us on what to improve, on what to work on, so that we become much more attractive. Yesterday, I touched on some of the issues that we are working on, for instance, security and the ease of doing business, and there may well be more. And thirdly, what is needed from our side? In other words, what can we do, and what do you want to see us do on a triple basis to ensure that you increase your investment? And also, what partnerships are you exploring currently? With a number of other companies in South Africa, particularly our emerging companies that are emerging from the dark shadows of apartheid, companies that are brimming with a lot of confidence that want to be part of the growing business community, not only in South Africa, but also in the world. And on the South African side, where do you see the greatest potential for partnership with the Saudi businesses? What is needed, and what are the enabling factors or conditions for increased exports to Saudi Arabia and for two-way investment and partnerships? We are fortunate to have with us here this morning several ministers from South Africa, as well as ministers from Saudi Arabia, and I think we will have a great opportunity to have them on both sides enlightening us on some of the issues they are working on from a policy point of view. So I look forward to hearing from all of you, and I will also be able to respond to whatever comments that you may have. This, for me, is a great opportunity to have this intimate, close type of interaction with business leaders who are very serious and who are looking forward to growing their markets. And may I say, we often take business leaders around with us, and this is one of the times when we have really taken a slightly large delegation of real serious business leaders from home who are willing to enter into partnerships. So I think we've got a wonderful scene set for us to interact. So with that, I look forward to a productive, interactive discussion.